Hi, guys. Good morning. Welcome to Glam Chats. As you guys know, today we're going to talk about the ban on non competes, which is a big deal to me. And I'm going to let you guys know why. But I'm super excited about this. If you guys are following me on Instagram, at also known as Bex, you know that I've been talking about it. I think it's a really big deal. And I'm going to let you know why today, especially for the beauty industry. Um, Now, I want to be clear. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not even a specialist on this. I'm literally pulling my information from the FTC website, the Federal Trade Commission, ftc.gov. So everything I'm going to tell you comes directly from there. It's not inside information, it's not anything crazy. But what I really want you guys to know is that how it's gonna affect the beauty industry and why it's so important to us, and that's what I'm an expert on, is knowing just why the beauty industry needed this, why it's been needing to happen for a long time, and how it's gonna change not just how you work, but how the salons you work for work. So, again, end of April, the FTC announced, that there was a rule banning non-competes. Um, what a non-compete is, if you don't know, and if you've not experienced this, that's awesome. But a lot of times when you go to work for a salon particular, you have to sign something saying that you won't work anywhere else for a year after you leave that salon within a 3-mile radius or a 2-mile radius or a 1-mile radius, some reasonable amount of radius. So basically what this means to you as a stylist, even though you're trained in this skill, you went to school to get this skill because you worked for them, if you ever decide to leave, you can't work in your career field. So you'd have to change career paths. So you can't be a hairstylist or a nail tech anymore, or you have to move. You have to work somewhere far away and you can't take any of your clients with you. So that's a big deal. So what it means for stylists is a lot of times they're trapped in salons that are toxic work environments that maybe aren't competitive. They're not great places to work, but because they have this non-compete, nobody ever leaves because they're scared that they're going to have to leave the industry. So this is really a big deal. Um, what I really want to focus on is why this is important to the beauty industry. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to force salons to be more competitive outside of a non compete. So instead of having you sign these agreements saying that you can't leave, it's going to force them to have fair wages. It's going to force them to have better hours for you, to have better work environment. And instead of competing with these documents, they're going to have to compete with other salons because they're the best. So it's going to make salons be better. It's going to make salon owners do better. It's going to really help them to focus on what makes a stylist want to stay aside from a piece of paper or fear, which nobody wants to. For me, I've never understood why a salon owner wants to force a stylist who doesn't want to work there and isn't happy there to stay. For me, I've always said, listen, if this isn't the right fit, I want you to find the right fit. This isn't good for me for you to be here if you're unhappy, and it's not good for you to be here if you're unhappy. And it's certainly not good for your coworkers or your clients. So find somewhere that fits better. But for some reason, maybe it's fear. I don't know what it is. Salon owners want to keep stylists stuck. And this will keep that from happening. It's also going to help small businesses to open. So in the past, because you signed these agreements, you were unable to open a business in a related field. Now, if you want to leave somewhere and open your own business because you're ready, or you want to come work for somewhere like Bex and Co. and become a business owner or any other suite or rental salon, you're able to leave and open your own small business, or even better, you open your own big salon. This really is going to open the doors for new businesses to open. It's going to create more jobs and it's going to make our industry more competitive. So, overall, it's a good thing. I think salon owners are really scared of it, but I really wanna challenge salon owners to be better owners, to create better environments, to pay fair wages, and then it's not scary because nobody's gonna leave because they like where they're working. Instead of seeing this as a negative thing where you can't keep employees, see it as a positive thing where, yes, you're providing education, you're providing marketing and clients, but your stylists are so happy that they don't wanna leave. So really overall, I think that it's gonna be good for everybody. I think it's just gonna take a second for people to come to terms with what it means in our industry. Now, why what I really wanna talk about is why this is so important to me. You guys know that I have been in this industry for 21 years, wild. I started as a hairstylist at 18 years old. I started school then. worked in a lot of salons. I've worked in a lot of commission salons. Worked in a lot of rental salons. But early on in my career, this would have had to have been about probably 2008. I worked at a salon. It was a beautiful salon. They provided us with clients. They seemed like a great place to work. And when I came in, this was in Kentucky. So non-competes were everywhere. You basically couldn't work anywhere without signing. And I signed a document saying that I would not work for 2 years after leaving in any form of business, beauty business. I could not do hair within 2 years within a 3-mile radius of the salon, and this is an aerial radius. So this meant not only could I not work in the city I lived in, this meant that I couldn't even work in suburbs of the city I lived in. I would basically have to move out of state or far away from the city I lived in order to keep doing hair. Um, I signed it because it was a great salon. They had a lot of really amazing promises, and for the first year I worked there, they really fulfilled those promises. The owner was great to us. There were things that weren't ideal, but overall, I really enjoyed working there. I made decent money for the time. 2008 was not an amazing time for anybody, and particularly stylists. We didn't make as much money then, but overall, I liked it. At about the year mark, she brought in a man who was gonna help transform the business. I think he did Summit Salon or some salon program. He worked for them, or knew the program. This is not to insult Summit Salon or whatever it was, but he was gonna bring in this program and help us to sell more retail and help us to retain our clients a bunch of good things that she felt like would be good for the salon. When he came in, he was rude, he was condescending, and he was sexually harassing the girls that worked there. I mean, in 2008, I was 24, 23, 24 years old. I was young. Most of the girls I worked with were very, very young. He would make sexually suggestive comments, about the girls that worked there. He would make sexually suggestive comments about our clients. He would insult their weight. He would he was just really not a nice person, and it really bothered me, and I started seeing this. I stuck around. I think I stayed for 6 months after he started. It was pretty much on a regular basis, and unfortunately in 2008, and maybe this wasn't true for everyone, but in Kentucky where I was working, it was more acceptable for a 50-year-old man to make sexually suggestive clients to younger girls or to clients, and people didn't stand up to it. Now I think that if that happened in a salon, like, he would be gone overnight. I mean, he would never work again, but back then, it was acceptable. So I started looking for other places to work. I was looking at commission salons, and I still remember to this day he called a staff meeting. And I think it was because a girl had left and gone to a booth rent salon. And this was before the owner had non-compete agreements. So she was able to leave. She took all of her clients and she was doing really well. So he wanted to scare us into not leaving to go do booth rent. So he sat us all down and he did this big meeting about how much it costs to do rental, how much your supplies cost, how none of us are smart enough to handle taxes, how we're not capable of running a business, how we're not capable of scheduling for ourselves, and how basically we'll fail. So it was this long meeting about how if you ever try to go out in booth rent, you're going to fail. And this girl who has gone out on booth rent is going to fail. And for those of you who know me personally or know me on Instagram, telling me I can't do something is the exact thing I need to go try it. So that same week, I went to a booth rent salon. I signed a lease. I packed up all my stuff and I left. And it actually was after, it wasn't just that meeting. That same week, he made a very nasty comment about one of my clients. And it was about her weight. And it was really inappropriate. And it was kind of the final straw. And I told the owner, and the owner just kind of laughed and said, he's just kind of like that. You know how men are, boys will be boys. And that's when I was like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I don't like the way he's treating us." And so I left. I did have this non-compete agreement. I left anyway. It was too toxic of an environment for me to stay. I went nearby. I went about a mile away to a salon. I did not take client information. I um announced on, I believe it would have had to have been Facebook at the time. There's no Instagram. I announced on Facebook that I was leaving. I even did some Google stuff where my name would pop up. I put an ad in a magazine that I knew a lot of my clients were reading. It was like a local, like Lexington magazine where I was and what I was doing, and I let clients just kind of follow me. Now I have much more sophisticated practices for getting clients over, and technology is a lot better, but back then I didn't know what I was doing. I had no business coaching. This was just my first time to ever really try this. And I was very successful, but within 3 weeks of leaving, they sent me a cease and desist, telling me to immediately stop working, that I was not allowed to work within 3 miles, and that I couldn't work for 2 years as a hairstylist. And I was terrified. And I took this to my dad. My dad's amazing. He's always got great ideas. He's very calm. He doesn't get fired up, which is amazing. He just very calmly says, "Okay, well, here's what we're gonna do." So we wrote a very firm letter saying that I was experiencing sexual harassment in my workplace, that I was seeing other girls being sexually harassed. I was hearing that clients were sexually harassed, and that there was a gender inequality, and that I just couldn't work there comfortably. It was affecting my mental health, and that is why I chose to leave, and that I was going to leave very quietly. However, now that they were enforcing the cease and desist, I was going to make it a little bit more known that this is what was happening. So, they didn't respond to that. They never responded to that. But what I think really proves that I made the right choice and why I hate non-competes is they called a meeting, and they pulled out the non-compete, and they let everybody know that I would never be able to work, and that they were going to sue me, and that I was going to lose my home. I was going to lose my business. I would never work doing hair again. And then, I heard this from lots of the girls following, and this is at a time I weighed about 50 pounds more than I weigh now. I was stressed, I was depressed, I was younger, I didn't eat well, I didn't exercise, um, and none of that matters. I The point is I weighed 50 pounds more than I weigh now, and his comment was, "And have you seen her? I can't believe she would think that I would sexually harass her with all of you beautiful women here." So it just goes to show what kind of toxic environment it was, and of course, I got messages from all the girls. All of them were scared to leave, but they were so upset that he had said that about me, that he had implied, and he had in some way implied that my weight was part of it. I don't I it was really gross, and I'm so glad that I escaped. I never had any consequences, luckily, but ever since that time, I have adamantly been against non-competes. I have never signed one since. I would interview for a job, and if that was a requirement, I would decline the position, and I would find a job that did not have a non-compete. I would sign an agreement, which is just something saying that I agree to be clean, and I agree to follow their rules, but I would never sign anything saying that I wouldn't work somewhere else if it didn't work out. Um, so that's my personal story. That's why it's really why I think stylists should be independent. It's why one of the things that really turned me off to commission salons, as you know, that I am not a huge fan of them. I have worked at good commission salons since, and just left because of earning ceilings and other reasons, not because of sexual harassment or anything toxic. But that was it really was a traumatic part of my career. I actually went back to school for English after that. I thought about leaving the industry. It was before I moved to Austin, and I really would hate to anybody think anybody else was experiencing anything like that. So that's my personal story, kind of a vulnerable moment. I was very young, it was very scary, and I don't want anybody else to be in a similar situation. So moving on. Here's what we know, about the non-competes, and and this is just basic information, like I said, that's on the Federal Trade Commission website, ftc.gov, if you wanna look it up yourself. It's not in effect yet. So, we don't really have a good timeline on when this is gonna happen because, unfortunately, there's a lot of lawsuits against it. This doesn't just affect the beauty industry, it affects big corporations, it affects a lot of big business. One exclusion is that I think high-level executives that make over a certain amount of money, I think that number is like $156,000, and are decision makers in the business are excluded from this. So really, there's a lot of things that they have to work out, a lot of exclusions they have to put into it. So we don't know when it's going to go into effect. And to be completely honest, it could be a long time. Um, but this is a step in the right direction. Um, Now, when it does go into effect, it will apply to new and existing non-competes. So it will mean that salons, and I'm speaking directly about salons because it's what I know, but it means salons will no longer be able to ask you to sign a non-compete. If they do, it's not enforceable. And it also means any existing non-competes they have for employees, they will have to rescind. So they will have to immediately let their employees know in writing that their existing non-compete is no longer valid. So that's a big deal. Um, One thing though, they can't ask you to sign an NDA. Now, what this means is you can't take trade secrets. This could mean, and this is just me speculating, it means that you might not be able to take formulas out of the computer, especially another stylist formula. That would be a trade secret. Technically, taking client information from the computer, that could be considered a trade secret or protected information. We all know that we have other ways of getting client information with social media. You don't have to take it from a computer. Um, but that information could be protected. What they won't be able to do is tell you that you can't work doing hair or doing nails or whatever industry you're in, and they can't give you like a certain amount of radius where you can't work in a certain timeline. Um, so one of the reasons I think it's different for us, I do understand that there are industries where they take someone with absolutely no experience or education in the business and they train them and they teach them everything they know about the industry. And that's why they want to protect what they've given to train that person. In our industry, we come with a license. And a lot of us have worked in other locations. We've done other things. We've trained part of their staff. So to tell us that we can't take this license and this education that we worked so hard for and work somewhere else seems unfair to me. I, you know, I do understand that you gain knowledge and experience everywhere you work. I understand that they market for you and they give you clients, but in return, you train their younger staff. You train their assistants. You make them a ton of money. You keep the clients they give you for sometimes years while you work there, and you make a lot of money while you're there. So I really believe it's a trade off, even if they do give you some knowledge or call in education. You're coming with your own knowledge and your own set of skills. So that's why I think for beauty industry professionals particularly, it's a little different for us to tell us we can't work as a beauty professional when maybe that's the only thing that we know how to do or that we feel comfortable doing. So, um, that's why I feel like it's a little different for us. Um, Now one thing that I think will be immediately effective, even though this isn't in effect yet, I think salon owners will stop having stylists sign these agreements knowing that this law or this ruling could come into effect very soon. And I'm hoping they'll stop. Um, I'm hoping that it will make them be more competitive with their wages, their hours, their benefits, with the environment they provide, knowing that we're more free to find somewhere better if we don't like it. So overall, I think it could really elevate the industry even before it goes into effect. Now, if you have an existing non-compete, I don't know that they would rescind those, that they would take back those existing non-competes without being forced to, but they might. Because in a situation with a non-compete, to take you to court would take a very long time. It would cost a lot of money. There's not a lot to gain. And by the time this makes it through court, this could already have gone into effect. So it's really not worth their time, money, or effort to take you to court over it. So it's very possible that they will stop enforcing the non competes and start trying to be more competitive in the industry just to make you wanna stay as opposed to force you to stay. And then what's really cool is we're gonna have less fear and anxiety around leaving jobs, starting our own businesses. Um, I talk to stylists every day. I help them become independent, and their biggest fear is around telling their salon owner, "Are they gonna come after me? Are they gonna send me a cease and desist? Are they gonna sue me?" And, I hate that for our industry. I think that you should be able to start your own business. I think you should be able to move to a salon if you want to. Really, your goal is to find somewhere that where you're happy, whether that's something you own yourself, whether it's working for someone that you love and that has amazing offerings and benefits and can give you what you want out of a career. I just think it's important that we're happy. And by requiring us to stay somewhere we're not happy, nobody is winning. So I'm really hoping that this will encourage stylists to get out of toxic environments, to really do their own thing, to be happier in general, and to fewer stylists will leave the industry. It's going to create more opportunities, more small businesses, more jobs, more money in the economy. And that's really what we all want. So I was really excited to tell you guys about this. Again, my knowledge is not anything special. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. Maybe I got something wrong. I really just pulled it off my understanding from the Federal Trade Commission website and how I interpret it for our industry. So please know that if you have a correction to anything I've said, please let me know so that I can share it with everybody. Or if you have some insider information or something that we don't know that you found out somewhere, please put it on the Facebook page because this is stuff that we all need to know. Um, so thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for listening. I hope that my story will encourage you to leave a toxic environment if you're in it. If you have any questions about this, I'm happy to help you navigate it. You know, we're always happy to have you at Bex& Co. if you're in the Austin area. We're happy to train you how to come over, and we're happy to help you navigate maybe a toxic salon owner who doesn't wanna let you leave. We wanna stand behind you in that decision to leave. We wanna be your support system, and I wanna be here to tell you that you're not doing anything wrong in that situation. As long as you're ethical and you practice things ethically, then somebody being upset that you're leaving is not your problem. Um, so yeah, this might be unpopular opinion. I think most of us in the beauty industry are in agreement that this is a positive thing. I hope salon owners will be in agreement that this is a positive thing. And I hope they'll take this opportunity to pivot their business if it is a little bit toxic. Um, a lot of times it's not necessarily it is our fault when it's toxic, but it's not something that we did specifically. It's something we didn't do. It's something we didn't step in and take care of. So this gives us the opportunity to really fix the things that aren't working and make a much better work environment for our staff. So thanks for tuning in. We will be here next Monday. I'm interviewing Dr. Denise Simpson. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about things for you single girls, but we're also going to talk about how the same um, things that we apply in dating that work also work with clients in business. So it's going to be really, really fun. So I will see you guys next Monday on Glam Chats, 10 a.m. live. I appreciate you guys. And again, if you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. We have the YouTube channel, we have the Facebook channel. We're easy to find. So yeah, I'm Bex. So happy to share all this with you. We'll talk to you next week.